From the Detroit Free Press, I'm Robin Chan with today's voice briefing. It's Tuesday, June 20th, 2023.
I'm Sue Salaski, Detroit Free Press food writer. Breakfast, brunch, and lunch spot, Hudson Cafe, announced plans for a third location. The owners of the popular cafe are planning to open a Troy location later this year, according to an Instagram post. Big Beaver and Crooks Road area in Troy will be the new home for the third location. According to the Instagram post, they've teamed up again with Birmingham-based Windy City Construction and Olin Interior in St. Clair Shores for its interior design and construction. Both were behind its new Northville location and the recent remodel of its original Detroit Hudson Cafe on Woodward Avenue in downtown Detroit. The Troy location is just off the I-75 freeway and near Somerset Mall. It's been a busy year for Hudson Cafe. Owner Tom Tiknos closed the original Hudson Cafe on Woodward Avenue in late January for a complete remodel. The Detroit location added a bar, updated the kitchen, remodeled the dining room, and added more seating. Hudson Cafe also added a second location, which opened in March on Haggerty and 6 Mile Roads in Northville. Fan menu favorites at Hudson Cafe include French toast, Benedict's, and other specialties. The owners hoping to open the new location prior to Thanksgiving.
Fly the friendly skies? Not so much. This is Todd Spangler, Washington correspondent for the Detroit Free Press. A new study came out recently from the UK showing that clear air turbulence, the kind that comes out of nowhere and terrifies you during a flight, is up. The culprit, no surprise, is climate change. Higher temps can mean higher wind shear and, you guessed it, more turbulence, especially in places like the North Atlantic. Researchers found it was up 55% over the last half-century. Last week, Congresswoman Haley Stevens of Michigan got the Science and Tech Committee to pass her bill looking into the problem. It would force federal agencies to improve documentation of clear air turbulence and begin preparing for a lot more bumpy flights. Turbulence, after all, isn't just inconvenient. It can be dangerous to crew and passengers and cost the airlines millions a year on wear and tear to aircraft. Stevens' bill wants the Federal Aviation Administration to study the problem and tells it to report back to Congress on just how it's going to address the issue in the future.
From reporter Frank Witzel. A Grand Rapids TV station is facing public and employee criticism for telling reporters to cover fewer LGBTQ+ events during Pride Month because, it said, it has been upsetting conservative viewers. Employees said a Wood TV memo, which the Free Press has obtained, was sent to them Tuesday of last week and asked staff to, quote, do some work to discern the newsworthiness, end quote, of Pride events. The memo also stated, quote, we know that West Michigan is a conservative area in many ways. We need to recognize that some stories related to LGBTQ issues are going to be controversial and polarizing in our community. End quote. The Free Press left messages with the station's news director and assistant news director. Gary Whiteman, the executive vice president of Nexstar Media Group in Texas, which owns Wood TV, released a statement apologizing, quote, for offending members of the LGBTQ community and Wood TV's viewers, end quote, and pledged to, quote, take appropriate action as necessary to address this situation, end quote. Wood TV has an editorial content sharing relationship with the Holland Sentinel, which, along with the Free Press and other Michigan news outlets, is owned by Gannett. For more on this story, you can search for Frank Witzel's article, Wood TV in Grand Rapids Under Fire for Internal Memo Calling for Less LGBTQ Pride Coverage, on Freak.com.
I'm Kirkland Crawford, Free Press Sports Department. Tigers President of Baseball Operations Scott Harris spoke to the media for the first time in a long time on Monday night before the game at home against Kansas City. Harris spoke about a myriad of topics, including the 4 starting pitchers on the injured list and how soon they are to return. Also, a couple of hot bats down in the minor leagues. In both cases, Harris is not in a rush to get guys ready, considering the fact that the trade deadline is approaching and the Tigers, though maybe sellers, are still in the Central Division race. How long will the Tigers be in that race? We'll just have to wait throughout this summer to find out. But Scott Harris is taking a more micro approach, worried about today's game and today's game only, he says. we'll see what Harris and the rest of the Tigers have up their sleeves throughout this summer as they prod along in the Central Division.
Find more from the Detroit Free Press by visiting freep.com. That's FREEP.com. Thanks for listening, and you'll hear more from us tomorrow.